Tensions are rising after Moscow says that Ukraine tried to assassinate the Russian president. Kiev has immediately rubbished the allegations, saying it has nothing to do with it. Now, Kremlin, in an official statement, has termed the alleged drone attack as an act of terror and has warned of retaliatory measures as well. Check this report to know more.
Moscow is fuming. It claims Kyiv tried to assassinate Vladimir Putin. In an official statement, the Kremlin says that it has shot down 2 drones launched by Ukraine, calling it a planned terrorist attack. We at WION reported the story on the 27th of April.
The Ukrainian Secret Service has reportedly attempted to assassinate Vladimir Putin with a drone. But the attack failed when the drone crashed before reaching its target.
Now the Russian government says it has shot them down. Reports say the UAVs were aimed at the Rudnevo industrial park where the Russian president was scheduled to visit. Ukrainian forces reportedly launched the UJ-22 drone laden with 17 kilograms of C4 plastic explosives. The drones managed to cross the border without being detected by Russia's air defense systems. But before the deadly drone could reach the Rudnevo industrial park on an alleged mission to take out the Russian leader, it crashed mere kilometers away. Moscow calls it an assassination attempt on the Russian president. It has spelled out that it reserves the right to hit back. All eyes are on where, when and how Russia does this alleged kamikaze drone attack to take out the Russian president.
For more on this, we have retired Colonel Rich Utsan, Senior Fellow at the Atlantic Council and the Jamestown Foundation, joining us on the broadcast. Welcome to the broadcast, sir.
Good to be with you.
Rich, now in conflict, charges and accusations are customary. That's a given. But the latest statement of Moscow that Kiev tried to kill Putin is a very serious one. How do you see the repercussions of it coming in the coming days?
Well, the first thing I'd say is that whatever retaliation Russia might contemplate for what it would see as an attempted assassination, they're probably already doing. What are they going to do? Are they going to attack residential areas in Ukrainian cities? Are they going to try to kill President Zelensky? Are they going to launch a genocidal war to try to seize parts of Ukraine? They've already done all of those things. And so when they threaten retaliation, I find that it's perhaps unconvincing. The other thing is, I'd like to raise a distinction. There is, in wartime, a distinction to be made between attacks on command and control targets and assassination. So the difference being that command and control targets, and the pictures I've seen show drones exploding over the Kremlin, not in an industrial park. So it could be that this was an attack to try to damage command and control facilities, and if Putin happens to be there, then he's sort of a secondary target. But assassination is different. That's to the person, not trying to damage the command and control capabilities or facilities, but try to specifically kill that individual. That would be a more serious issue in terms of international law. But how do you prove that? How do you prove it was not just an attack to damage the Kremlin's ability to manage the war?
Right. Rich, in your opinion, can Ukraine take the risk of targeting the Russian president? I know you've already differentiated between an assassination and an attack on command and control facilities. But would Ukraine take that risk? And is Ukraine capable of carrying it out?
Well, it's interesting. First of all, the fact is there's lots of Russians who would like to kill Putin as well. And there are also apparently people who are sympathetic to the cause of Ukraine in Russia. Remember that about a month ago, this Vladimir Tatarsky, the Russian military blogger, was killed in an attack in Moscow by somebody in Russia who was sympathetic to the Ukrainian cause. So we can't necessarily assume, especially since the Russians have said they didn't detect the drone coming in from Ukraine. Well, if they didn't detect it, how do they know it wasn't launched from within Russia itself? So it's possible that there's a little bit more complicated provenance of the attack. As to your question, can the Ukrainians pull it off? I think they've proven that they're quite good at sort of distance attacks, certain naval targets and at energy sites and things like that. I think it's within their capabilities. Can they afford to, which was the other part of your question? Well, I think all is fair in love and war, goes the old saying. That's not quite true with regards to international law. But again, the Russians have tried assiduously to kill President Zelensky with multiple attacks, multiple sort of hit squads sent in, with Kadyrov, the Chechen leader, saying we're going to send someone and bring his head home. So I don't think that this would be some sort of escalation on the part of the Ukrainians. I think if they can pull it off, then yes, they can afford to.
Rich, now I need to take this from the other perspective, from the West side. Now, the US response has been guarded till now. It says it is still looking into the matter. But if the Russian claims are true, we have to take that consideration, and Kiev indeed tried to target President Putin, how do you think the West would respond to it?
Well, so the West, obviously, in our legal systems, we have prohibitions on specific targeting of leaders. And the idea is that in war, if you capture the wartime leader, then you put them on trial, or hopefully if it's either an international tribunal or new national authorities when the person who's launched this illegal war is removed from power. We don't make provisions for assassination. And as a matter of fact, since the early Cold War years, there's been specific law in the U.S. that forbids it. So I think that would be of concern to us. We want Ukraine to adhere to the highest degree of both moral and ethical and legal acts in the conduct of its defensive war, which we absolutely support their defense. So we would be concerned, and I think if it turns out it was a targeted assassination attempt, there would be some outreach from the U.S. to try to counsel against things like that in the future. Again, command and control targets are different, right. And if Putin happens to get one when it's struck, but a targeted to the person assassination is something I think we would counsel against.
Thank you for joining in on the broadcast, Rich. That was retired Colonel Rich Utsan, Senior Fellow at the Atlantic Council and the Jamestown Foundation. Always a pleasure to have you on the broadcast.
Good to see you.